Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 of this series. Today we will be learning about the basic notes and how to read them. We will also be learning a very simple piece based on what we're going to learn today. If we look at this table will tell us about the different types of notes. 4 beats, 2 beats, and 1 beats. These are the 3 main beats we'll be focusing today on this video. To play 4 beats, we will count like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. To play 2 beats, we will play it like this. 1, 2. And to play a quarter note or a 1 beat, we will play it like this. 1. There are proper names for these 3 beats. A whole note for 4 beats, a half note for 2 beats, and a quarter note for 1 beat. These are the different symbols that you will identify when reading sheet music, so you know how long you have to play a note. You must remember to memorize these, or you won't know how long you have to play a note, whether it is 4 beats, 2 beats, or 1 beats. You can identify a whole note with a circle but no line coming out of it, and the circle is transparent. You can identify a half note with a line coming out of it, and the circle is also transparent. And you can identify a quarter note with a line coming out of it, but this time the circle is shaded in instead of transparent. It is important to find these notes on sheet music, or else you won't be able to know how long to play a certain note. Now, these are not the only notes that the piano has. There are also 8th notes, 16th notes, and even 32nd notes, but those are more complex and we will learn about them later. Let's try playing all of these on the piano once. To play a whole note on C, we'll play it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. To play a half note on C, we'll play it like this. 1, 2. And to play a quarter note, we'll play it like this. 1. From here onwards, I will refer to these notes as a whole note, half note, or quarter note. So it is important that you memorize that a whole note is 4 beats, a half note is 2 beats, and a quarter note is 1 beat. Now we will be learning how to identify C, D, E, F, G on sheet music. If we look at sheet music, we will always find this symbol at the start. This symbol is called a treble clef or a G clef, and this means that these lines are only meant to be played by the right hand. There is also another symbol called bass clef, which means you have to play with your left hand, but we won't be focusing on that today. Now, if we look to the right side of the treble clef, we will find 2 numbers, 4, 4, on top of each other. This is the count. In a certain bar, how many beats there are. So this is a bar. If we see these 2 lines separating this section from this section, that is a bar. This number will signify how many beats should be there in 1 bar. If you remember, these black notes with a line coming out of it and it is shaded in is 1 beat. If we see 4 of these notes in 1 bar, it means that there are 4 beats in 1 bar, and this is what this number stands for. Occasionally, you might find sheet music which says 3/4, and that means that there will be 3 beats in each bar. Next, we will see the note start. If we look at the lines, there are 5 lines in each section. These 5 lines will help you identify which beats you're supposed to play. Remember that there can only be notes on these lines or between these lines. So, for example, if we look at this note is on the line, whereas this note is between the 2 lines. If we look at the first line, we will find that there is this note. This note is on the first line. You can remember this note as E. The note on the first line will always be an E, and you can always start from there. Or there's another place you can start. Over here, if you see this pattern, it is not on any line. It is a C. This is always the middle C, which is this note. From there onwards, you will see another note, which is below the first line. This note is a D, And we know that it is a D because if we move one note above from C, it is a D. So this is a C, and this is a D. You can either start from C or E, and this will allow you to either go up and down. Once you've found any of these notes, you can easily go up by one or down. Let's start with C. So we have C, and then there's a D, and then there's an E. The next note you will find is an F, because after E, there's an F. And F is between the first and the second line. If we move up one more time, it is a G. A G is on the second line. Remember, one more time, there can only be notes either on the line or between the line. So every time it'll move up by on the line, between the line, on the line, between the line. So once we reach G, you can see that the notes are going back down, and we can count back down from G. Behind G, there's an F. So this is G, F. And then behind F, there's an E. G, F, E, D, C. So these notes are C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C. Now, if you look closely, you'll see that all of the notes are filled in and there are lines coming out of them. So this means that they are one beat notes. So you will only play each note for one beat. If we look at what this sounds like on the piano, it's like this. C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C. Try it one more time with me. 3, 2, 1. C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C. Now let's try a different example. Let's try to read this. Now, let's try to find our starting point. Either the first line, which is definitely going to be an E, or this under the first line, which is a C. Let's start at the C. C, and then it goes up by 1, and it is under the first line, so this is a D. And then we reach on the first line. This is an E. F, G. F, E, D, C. This is the same example from before. The notes are not shaded in, and they are transparent, but there is a line coming out of them. So this note is a 2-beat note, or a half note. Now, since all of these are a half note, we will all play these notes for 2 beats instead of 1. How do you know if it's 2 beats? You will hold the note and count 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So over here, we've played each note for 2 beats, opposed to how we can play it for 1 beat each. A common mistake that is made is for beats that are above 1, you start counting after you press the note. For example, 1, 2. That is wrong, because by the time you press the note, that has happened for already 1 beat. So you can either call 1 when you're pressing the note, or you can skip 1 and start with 2 after you've pressed the note. So, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Now let's look at our final example. There is 1 note per bar, as you can see, because there is only 1 note in between these 2 lines. And if you recall, a circle that is transparent without a line is 4 beats. And again, since this bar is 4, 4, there will only be 4 beats in 1 bar. So, since this 1 note is held for 4 beats, that's why there is only 1 note per bar. If we look at the note progression, it is the same as last time. C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C. We will try playing this now with 4 beats instead of 2 or 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember that the notes don't end on G and they keep going. There are many ways to learn this. You can always find many slogans on the internet to help you identify what the notes are on the lines and what the notes are between the lines. Remember that everyone has a personalized way of learning this. Some may prefer other ways than others, and there are many different variations on how to teach the notes. So, I am teaching it to you based on my personal learning experience, and I hope it makes it easy for you to learn as well. So what have we learned today? We have learned how to identify C, D, E, F, G on the piano, and how to identify how long we have to play each note. To apply what we've learned, this piece involves the notes C, D, E, F, G, and involves basic beats. I hope you enjoyed practicing it. Thank you. Before we play the piece, let's try to read the notes first. The first note is E, and then D, and then C, and then another D. So if we try to play that, what does it sound like? Pay attention to what the notes look like. They are filled in, so that means they are a quarter note, so you play them for one beat. It sounds like this. E, D, C, D. And you only play them for one beat each. Moving on, we see 3 notes, and these are E's. So we will play E 3 times. E, E, E. But notice that the final E doesn't have a note which is filled in. So that means this note is played for 2 beats. So this is a half note. So it'll sound something like this. E. You can count it. 1, 2. So if we see what we have so far, E, D, C, D, E, E, E. And then if we move on, there are 3 letters, and these are D's. So we play them like this. D, D, D. But again, the final note is a half note, so we'll play that for 2 beats. Moving on, we see an E, and then we have a climb up to a G. So E, G, and then one more G, but again, that is a half note. So E, G, G. Let's play all of that. To make it easier, in the half notes, I will be counting the timings for you. E, D, C, D, E, 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 2, D, 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 2, E, G, G, 2. Great job. Now we will move on to the next line. E, D, C, D, E, E, 2. So we see that the notes repeat. And then we have new notes. D, D, E, D. So in the next bar, we have D, D, E, D. And they're all quarter notes, so they'll sound something like this. And if we look at the final bar only has 1 note, and that is because that 1 note is 4 beats. So, if we look at the note, what note is it? It is a C. So we'll be playing the final C note for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thanks for watching.